Hi, it's Guy Morrow here. This short video concerns the dark side of creativity. So artists contribute to society in a complex variety of ways. While artistic creativity can serve useful, benevolent purposes that enrich our world, there's also a dark side to artistic creativity. The divisive tendencies of the arts can lead to tension, violence, and fanaticism. And creative thinkers can be more dishonest. So a full understanding of artistic contributions is therefore needed when examining the topic of managing creativity. So I'm now going to work through an article entitled "The Dark Side of Creativity, Original Thinkers Can Be More Dishonest" by Francesca, Gino and Dan Ariely. And these authors propose that a creative personality and a creative mindset promote individuals' ability to justify their behaviour, which in turn leads to unethical behaviour. And the results they generated through their research provide evidence for an association between creativity and dishonesty, thus highlighting a dark side of creativity. So they note that the ability to generate novel ideas and think creatively about problems has long been considered an important skill for individuals as well as for organisations and societies. Creative thinking allows individuals to solve problems effectively and to remain flexible so that they can cope with the opportunities and changes in their day-to-day lives. And there's been a number of approaches within the field of creativity research in psychology that have involved different conceptualizations of the creative personality and the context in which people are creative. And these approaches share a basic premise, and that's that because creativity improves problem solving and opens doors to new solutions and opportunities, creativity should be stimulated. But is creativity always beneficial? It's possible that creative thinking may also have a hidden cost in the form of increased dishonesty when used to solve ethical dilemmas. So, on a course such as this, we look at this topic of divergent thinking and also cognitive flexibility. So these two main components underlying creative performance, that is divergent thinking and cognitive flexibility, are really relevant here, and it's a fascinating concept that they open up the participant to moral ambiguity. So divergent thinking refers to the ability of individuals to develop original ideas and to envision multiple solutions to a given problem. It involves thinking without boundaries or outside the box. Cognitive flexibility, by contrast, describes the ability of individuals to restructure knowledge in multiple different ways, depending on changing situational demands, for example, the complexity of the actual situation. So they typically are conceptualized as working together, and one such context in which they'll operate together is provided by ethical dilemmas. So ethical dilemmas often require people to weigh two opposing forces: the desire to maximize self-interest and the desire to maintain a positive view of oneself. And recent research has suggested that individuals tend to solve this tension through self-serving rationalizations. They behave dishonestly enough to profit from their unethical behavior, but honestly enough to maintain a positive self-concept as honest human beings. So Dan Ariely has posited this theory. In another book, he calls it the fudge theory. So the extent to which we're able to behave dishonestly and unethically, but find the balance between doing that and being able to look in the mirror and justify ourselves as being decent human beings. So when facing the opportunity to behave dishonestly, in fact, most people cheat, if only a little bit, but not as much as they possibly could. So that's how the fudge factor impacts people's behaviour, because it's that balance between those two conflicting positions. And such self-serving justifications can help individuals convince themselves that their behaviour is in fact morally appropriate, and as a result, that there is no need to negatively update their moral self-image. As a result, any situation in which there is room to justify potential dishonest or self-interested behaviour is likely to promote dishonesty. And this tendency to behave in a self-interested manner when the behaviour in question can be justified was demonstrated in a compelling study in 1979. In the study, participants had to choose one of two rooms in which they could watch a movie with another person and then answer a short survey. In one room, the other person was physically handicapped. In the other room, the person was not. When the movie shown was the same in both rooms, participants were more likely to choose the room where they could sit with the handicapped person rather than the room where they would sit with the non-handicapped partner. However, when different movies were projected in the two rooms, most people chose to avoid the stigmatised person, i.e. the handicapped person, because they could easily justify their choices. So the authors posit that greater creativity facilitates this self-serving justification process. More specifically, they propose that when people are motivated to behave dishonestly so as to benefit financially in a given situation or to advance their self-interest in other forms, divergent thinking is likely to help them develop original ways to bypass moral rules. And they continue with an example. They say, consider a person's process of figuring out which tax deductions he or she is comfortable with and which lie beyond his or her ethically acceptable boundaries. A person who is highly creative or who has been asked to think creatively about this task may be more likely to identify original steps to follow and to justify misreporting on taxes in novel ways. So you start to see these words like novelty and divergent thinking and cognitive flexibility come into play with regard to the line of morality. And there's a saying that goes something like this, that art requires you drawing a line somewhere, and ethics does as well, or morality involves drawing a line somewhere. So it's that idea of the artist challenging social norms, or the creative person being someone who is able to think more divergently and creatively, if that is only in relation to justifying immoral behaviour. So these authors propose two hypotheses. The first is that they expect creativity to be positively associated with dishonest behaviour when people face ethical dilemmas. And the second is that they expect this relationship to hold both in the case of dispositional creativity and in the case of primes that primes that temporarily trigger a creative mindset. So that's saying the dispositional creative person is someone who is naturally creative, and the prime for someone to be in a creative mindset is more of a temporary thing. And they say finally, we suggest that creativity promotes dishonesty by increasing people's ability to justify or self-justify their bad deeds. That is, we propose that creativity increases moral flexibility, which we define as individuals' ability to justify their immoral actions by generating multiple and diverse reasons that these actions can be judged as ethically appropriate. And they conducted a number of studies, a number of experiments, and you can check out these in depth in the actual article, which is available for you. And note that the article, the experiments are fascinating, so check them out. And they say across all of these studies, they consistently found that creativity, or greater creativity, promotes dishonesty by increasing individuals' ability to justify their unethical actions. But when considering measures of creative personality and when temporarily activating a creative mindset. So check out the actual experiments and the results and discussion around the experiments and exercises and studies they did. And they note that the measures of creative personality were positively and significantly correlated with the level of dishonesty on each of the three tasks included in their study. And they say the analysis revealed that creativity as an individual difference was positively and significantly associated with dishonesty, whereas intelligence was not. And that these results provide support for their hypothesis that dispositional creativity promotes dishonesty. So, taken together, the results demonstrate that even when activated temporarily, a creative mindset promotes dishonesty as well. And they propose that creativity promotes dishonesty by increasing people's ability to justify their unethical actions. Interestingly, they also factored in narcissism. So they say we included a measure for narcissism because prior research has demonstrated that people who think they are more creative than others also tend to be narcissists. But they got mixed results doing that, and you can check out the actual studies in the article. So, over the last 3 decades, an increasing number of studies have highlighted the importance of creativity for individuals or organisations and societies, and the majority of this work has stressed the potential real benefits of creative thinking. And their article casts a shadow on the widespread view that creativity always leads to good. In their 5 studies, they demonstrated that creativity might also produce negative effects, leading to individuals being more frequently dishonest. And an initial pilot study conducted in the field demonstrated that employees who are in positions that require creativity are more likely to be morally flexible and to engage in wrongdoing in the workplace. And they say that they've highlighted the potential unintended consequences of creativity. Greater creativity helps individuals solve difficult tasks across many domains, but creative sparks may lead individuals to take unethical routes when searching for solutions to problems and tasks. And the work plants a first step in a research domain that is highly relevant to the increasing, changing, innovative and competitive world of the 20th century. As innovation has increased, this century already has weathered a series of accounting scandals and the collapse of several billion-dollar companies, resulting in dramatic changes to the business landscape. Similarly, over the last decade, we have increasingly witnessed cases of academic dishonesty by both students and teachers, as well as scandals of scientific cheating. Dishonesty and innovation are 2 of the topics most widely written about in the popular press. Yet they say to date the relationship between creativity and dishonest behaviour has not been studied empirically, and they believe that understanding this relationship has several important implications for education, business and policy. And they're often surprised to learn that successful and ingenious decision makers in these contexts have crossed ethical boundaries. And the results from their article indicate that, in fact, people who are creative or work in environments that promote creative thinking may be at the most risk when they face ethical dilemmas. And their work offers the first empirical demonstration of the association between creativity and dishonesty, as well as evidence of the important role of justifications in explaining this relationship. So check out the article for more information on this topic because it's a fascinating and important one. Thank you very much.